So the forms and functions in the plants. Let's talk about this topic. The nitrogen forms utilized by plants, we described in the previous video, and they are twofold. Plants absorb nitrogen as nitrate and ammonium as NH4. And when plants take these up, they preferentially take up nitrate over ammonium. But sometimes plants take up ammonium over nitrate, and it depends on the plant itself. So there's a kicker here that ammonium is preferred in terms of uptake based on an energy balance. All right. And so this is what happens within plants. When plants take up nitrate inside the plant itself, it has to convert it to ammonium, which then is converted to proteins. And this is an extra step for plants. So if plants have the opportunity to just simply cut out this first step, it requires less energy. The kicker is that if you have excess ammonium in soils, ammonium can actually be toxic to plants. In fact, if it volatilizes, and you're going to learn about that term in this unit, volatilization, when ammonium becomes ammonia gas, it can burn plants, it can burn seedlings, etc. So there's a trade-off here. It overcomes an energy balance within the plant, but at high concentrations in soils, it can be toxic. So nitrate is actually preferred not because of an energy balance, but because of an electrochemical balance. And this is because plants take up more cations than anions, right? Plants take up calcium, they take up magnesium, they take up potassium, they take up iron, they take up zinc, they take up copper, manganese. These are all cations plus charges. So in order to balance the charge within the plant cells themselves, nitrate is present to help counterbalance the positive charges within the plant. Interestingly enough, point number 5 is that ammonium oftentimes does not stick around long enough in soils under normal arable aerobic conditions. It's readily converted from ammonium to nitrate in soils. And we're going to talk about that process. It's called nitrification. It's been shown that nitrate plus ammonium can improve plant growth compared to either one alone. And of course, there's always exceptions to the rule, right? So let me share with you some exceptions. This balance between nitrate and ammonium, or the preference between both of those, is really dependent on the crop type. So for example, tobacco, tomatoes, potatoes prefer more nitrate, and blueberries, for some reason, prefers more ammonium. I can't remember why off the top of my head. I apologize, but that's how this works. There's always exceptions to rules. So you understand nitrate and ammonium and their uptake based on electrochemical balance or energy balance. Let's talk about functions of nitrogen within the plants. Why is nitrogen important, and why do you see a response when nitrogen is deficient for a plant or a crop? Well, nitrogen, in terms of plants and functionality, it's an essential element for amino acids and proteins. You hopefully have learned that before somewhere along the line in your career. It plays a role in DNA and RNA, and it plays a role in chlorophyll as well as ATP, ADP. Point number 4 is the energy transfer systems within plants. In terms of chlorophyll, here's a picture of a chlorophyll molecule. And among other elements present in it, it has nitrogen that's used to stabilize magnesium here in the center of the molecule itself. Without nitrogen, you tend to see a lack of photosynthesis and thus chlorotic conditions within plants. Now, the chlorosis is specific, and we're going to talk about that in this unit. So what do we see? When we have adequate supplies of nitrogen in soils, we always see dark green color, vigorous vegetative growth. If you're talking about grasses that can tiller, we have greater tillering and higher photosynthetic activity because nitrogen is part of the chlorophyll molecule. Is too much a good thing or a bad thing? Well, too much or excessive nitrogen can be a bad thing. Excessive nitrogen can cause excessive vegetative growth. I've seen this in tomatoes where you have dark green vegetative growth and lots of vegetative growth and very few tomatoes. This is an oops that sometimes homeowners make. You see delayed maturity, sometimes lodging in fields if you have too much nitrogen. And because of excessive vegetative growth, you can have soil water depletion to a greater extent because of excess above ground growth, requiring transpiration to occur, which depletes soil water. Excess nitrogen can lead to disease, and some crops are particularly sensitive to excess nitrogen. And those crops include mostly root crops, potatoes, sugar beets, onions, as well as cotton. And in particular for potatoes, sugar beets, and onions, excess nitrogen causes excess above ground plant growth and less contribution to the carbohydrates below ground, i.e. the portion that we want to harvest and eat. And that's pointed out in the last bullet point there. So let's stop there for this unit or this video.